In the following excerpts, the teachers and students suggest best practices that can be used by mainstream and ESL teachers.
Some of the things that I was thinking about, and actually these are strategies that are for the mainstream classroom as well. They're not just for ESL students because there's so many different types of learners in the classroom anyway. But one thing is that when you're going to actually explain something like an actual note, some sort of a handout, instead of just talking about it, put the handout on the overhead at the same time, or put the information you're going to talk about on an overhead so that while you're talking they can actually follow along on the overhead as well. That's an important strategy.
Yeah, or if you can't do that, write things on the board.
On the board, yeah.
But write it in a way that's organized.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they understand it.
Not higgledy-piggledy, you know, here and then we're
and arrows and
you know, and things like that. Cause
plan ahead for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably in there too, and you might have this down. Some kids that when they come from a script that's not sort of the same as ours, they have a hard time with print and cursive. Mm-hmm. So printing is often easier for them than the cursive writing.
The cursive, yeah. The other thing I was going to say is I found this happened a lot when I was teaching a grade 10 history class, mainstream, and very few ESL learners, but it's still very important, is making sure to define words that you think they may not know. You can never assume that they know a lot of bigger words or terminology, especially if they're coming from other countries. They won't understand certain terminology. So making sure to say, okay, does anybody know what this means? The other strategy I have used, and I think is a very good one, particularly for evaluation, is asking them to hand in something to you a little early, or even if they hand it in on time, if it's not done very well, you just circle all the errors, give it back and say, I'll mark this when you fix it. If you want to come see me, we'll look it over, I'll tell you what you need to work on. And that at least doesn't discourage them, because you could always get that teacher who says, you know, whether you're a ESL or not, I really don't care. The point is, it's too many mistakes, 0. That type of thing. So that's an important strategy, I think. Well, you definitely need to give them the impression that you're approachable and speak to them directly and say, I know this is going to be difficult for you, obviously not in front of the whole class, but maybe just let them know that you want to speak to them after class and just tell them, listen, come and see me. If you are having difficulty, I know that English is a difficulty or is a challenge for you. I am anytime. Mm-hmm. So let them know that you're approachable, because I think a lot of them are too shy to ask. Mm-hmm. I think that's really, really important. And make sure that you don't ignore them in the classroom. Often that happens because they're the quiet kids and they do their work and they don't really bug anybody. They just kind of sit off in the corner by themselves and just get ignored because there's 30 kids in the class. And so it's almost like you have to put a little radar on and say, okay, I got to keep my eye on, that person over there, and just make sure that I bring them into the classroom, into a class discussion, or make sure that I partner them up with someone in the classroom to kind of, somebody who's more outgoing, and say, listen, what I'd like you to do is just kind of help bring this person into the classroom or help bring them into your team. I think that's important, because oftentimes they do get forgotten in the back of the classroom, which is really too sad.
It depends on teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Some teachers are nice and interested in the newcomers, mm-hmm. but some teachers don't really care. So
that's hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My science teacher always helps us for our class. Mm-hmm. Like when we have to some classwork and we need this, we're starting to talk about life. It's always help to practice my English.
Yeah.
To other students.
I know a lot of teachers are really willing to help ESL students, even if they're not ESL teachers. If they could be science teacher, math teacher. But sometimes we just feel like kind of ashamed, like to be, because sometimes they're kind of loud, like who are ESL students here, like wants to help, like during class, during tests, like we just feel ashamed to be known by our classmates that we are ESL. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And in my law class, my teacher was always asking me, oh, do you need help, Vicky? And he was always like speak in the class, so I was kind of shy. And then, okay, especially I'm the only one ESL student in my law class. and I couldn't ask him every single words that I don't know, right? But he was keep on asking me, oh, do you know what does that mean? And every new word he was pick on me like, oh, Vicky, you know what is this one mean? And I was kind of shy, and I don't know what should I say. No, but he has to explain this word for me a long time, so I spend a lot of time on me. That's not good, yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's really great that the teacher like willing to offer the help. It's just that maybe they didn't go through the same experience we had, so they didn't know how we feel. Like when they just kind of telling everybody that we're ESL, our English is bad. That's just one point I'm like.
Actually, I found it easier for me if the teacher write it down.
Okay.
Because, I don't know, even now I feel nervous to talk to my teachers. I don't know why, because everything they say, oh, come to see me. I feel nervous because I think I did something bad, or even though they just want to help. I think it's clear that way too, because they make the point out, and then if you don't understand, you can, and then you're willing to ask, then you can go ask the teacher what's this and what's that. I think that's easier and save a little bit of time for the teacher too.
And also, I think it's a lot more convenient for the students as well. Maybe a lot of times we have a lot of questions. Let's say we're writing an essay, the teacher is giving like, let's say a low mark. Like I would hope the teachers like writing detailed explanation why what's wrong with this essay, what they're expecting, so like we can improve, we know exactly what to improve next time. And then if we have like other questions, then we'll go to her. Then we won't bring a lot of questions, I don't know, just to go to that teacher, and it takes a lot of time to just to talk with them. Yeah.
Well, as for me, I like when the teacher talks a lot, because whether you don't like it or not, whether you're afraid of it or not, you'll have to like talk and communicate with people for the rest of your life. You can't just like sit there and write something when you're communicating with people. So even if you are afraid, I think it's the right thing to talk.
I don't know if people from other countries have that the same problem. When I just come here, I've never done any kind of project, like any big thing that you give yourself a deadline and you have to meet that. So I feel stressed every time there's a big project. So I would really appreciate it if there's somebody would help me. Like when I first started working on project and things like that.
Yeah.
They're they're really not that difficult. Just because I never did them, I feel stressed, really stressed when I do them.
You have to be kind of organized and plan.
And then I have to give myself a deadline. I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
Do you think if it would help if the teacher took a big project, broke it down into small parts and said, okay, this week this is due, this week that's due, and then by the end you've completed it without having to worry?
I remember once in grade 10 there's a science project which is due in in March or something, and then I started working on it during the Christmas break while everybody else was playing, because I was so stressed, I was afraid I'm not going to finish it by the deadline. So
Did you speak to your teacher about it?
No.
I think that every time a teacher introduces something new and he explained that, she should ask the class if everybody understood that. Because if somebody didn't get it and the teacher goes on, he will miss the whole thing. So I think when the teacher explains a new topic, she should clear it out if everybody understood that.
Sometimes I don't understand my math teacher's writing. She writing it's like a straight line on the board.
So basically, write more clearly would be your advice. Yeah.
Some people don't like handwriting, so when I first came here and my teacher wrote in handwriting, so I can't read or I can write, we copy them. I think they should write print words.
In printing? Yeah.
Yeah, but neatly, not in handwriting way, missing and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I think it's good that the teacher can leave a certain amount of time in class just for if people have any private questions, because some people they're shy to put their hand, especially ESL students, in class to ask the question in front of everybody. So it's always good for them to leave a certain time for people to come up to them to ask questions.
I think in general, if teacher wants to help students, they should first make friends with them. So you don't have this barrier, so people won't be like, if you're a friend of a student, you just things falling.